Hello and welcome. That started out with a bang. This is a Texas Live. I am Shane Moore. And I'm here with Sue Ellen, and we are going to have listener topic smorgasbord. Your topics, what you want to talk about, what's on your mind. Nothing off the table, so just let us know through our live chat what you want to talk about. Any topic. Paranormal. There she is. Paranormal, cryptozoology, ghost haunting, anything unusual, unexplained, whatever's on your mind. So, yes. So, I hope everybody had a good day and are ready to rumble.
We're ready to rumble, yeah.
Okay.
So first off, we'd have to say, in all intensive purposes, you're pretty paranormal.
I guess, yeah.
You're an anomaly.
I guess I would be
44 of you on the planet? Is that what they say?
RH Null. Yes,
Yeah.
There's less than 50 of us on the planet, so I guess I may be an alien. Who knows?
And actually, they always talk about us. Of course, I'm O negative. And of being the universal donor, but in fact, O negative cannot give to RH nulls. And on a wilder note, even crazier, supernatural, is Shane, RH null, can actually give his blood to animals.
Yes.
And save an animal's life.
Yep.
I mean,
that's the truth.
That blows my mind. And the first thing that I always think of in the Bible is Adam. You know, how he named the animals. He was in charge of the animals. And I don't know. I always go back to that story.
Right.
But in fact, and I'm sure throughout your life, you've noticed a lot of supernatural things along the way.
Yes, I've had some unusual experiences, to say the least. And for the longest time, and I'm sure that there's many people out there that are the same way. I thought that everyone was like me until I got a little bit older and would say things and talk to people about things, and I found out pretty quick that I was different, and it used to bother me to a certain degree, to say the least. But
because you wanted to fit in, and you desperately. I mean, that's just a part of any mammal. We need to have that connection.
Right. Well, one thing about me is even when I was when I was younger, I tried to fit in. Now, I'm not being rude or anything, but I don't care about fitting in. I mean, it's like, take me or leave me. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'm good, I mean, it's like, if I'm accepted, that's great. If I'm not, that's fine too. But I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's always nice to be accepted. I mean,
well, everybody wants to, and they want to be understood, and that's what I think where it's coming to, and that's understanding, feeling like we're different, and it has to be more than that, because we already know, we've already done many shows on MK Ultra. You can go back and you see it's not just America. It was happening in London. It was happening in Russia. It was happening in Germany. Happening in Switzerland. Experimenting on people. Has gone on for a millennia. I mean, look at the gladiator games. I'm sure a lot of serial murderers had, and doctors, learned a lot from those horrible occurrences. But anyways, getting off topic of feeling like you're different, and that being related to what I have been trying to figure out and change for my life from, are things coincidences that have been happening? Were they supernatural, spiritual that were happening? Or were they something, that was set up in some kind of experiment, or, to see how we react to certain things, a beta test, essentially. Maybe it's a little bit of all of it, but what do you think?
Right. Well, it's hey Jacob, glad you joined us.
Hi, Jacob.
It is really something that the world, government, the world governments, I should say government, because I as I've gotten older and researched this for years, it's now my belief that countries, boundaries or whatever, it's just a big ruse. It's an illusion. I mean,
mm-hmm.
that's just to pacify people and make them, it's all one world.
One big show.
Right.
It's all one big show. And I think, there was a time, I don't know if it was The Passion of Christ, that movie. And to tell you the truth, I think that I was watching the movie and I was a little stoned. But as I was watching the movie, I just remember there was a scene, and it's like everything was going on every place else, and everybody's like arguing against each other, and then they're all going and meeting in this room together, and talking about how they're gonna do it while the show is going on outside. But it's just kind of exactly what it makes me feel. And you got Trump. Look at all the money he's making. He'll talk and talk and. It's just,
right.
It's a show.
Right. Hey, Mona, glad you joined us.
Hi, Mona.
It's, that's exactly what it is. I mean, it's,
bread and circus, and that's what they got us all now. Netflix, all the shows, we're obsessed with, seeing what other people are doing and watching other people, and and I just noticed more and more, the cameras are everywhere, here in Vegas, everybody's being watched now. Everybody's like pointing their fingers at each other, and people are losing their jobs for making comments, and it's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's getting a little cray-cray.
Right. Absolutely. And there was something that I saw on YouTube about something that may be on the horizon for this Christmas, but there's all kinds of stories like that. I mean, there's people that just start things like that, start rumors like that, and just I don't know,
to get hit.
Right. Clickbait. It's like.
Oh, is that what they call it?
Yeah, clickbait. to make people click on there, and
gotcha.
So you will never find me playing the clickbait game. I mean, it's like our show is small, but it's none of those tricks. I mean, like if I have one listener that really enjoys truth, and what I mean by that is what I believe to be truth. You can make up your own mind. That's great. I mean, I'm not out for numbers. It's like Sue Ellen and I have talked that changing the world. I don't need 10,000 listeners, which would be great, but if I can just reach one person and make them think for themselves and break away from all the media and all the, pardon me, but bullshit and lies, then that's how you change the world.
That's how you change the world. One person, you empower that person. When two or more come together. Yep. So, Mona, what is the craziest, most supernatural thing that's ever happened to you?
And Jacob too. Just weigh in. Let us know.
Yeah, we want to hear. What's yours, Shane?
Mine? Give me a few minutes.
Give you a what?
I said, give me a few minutes, and I'll...
Well, let me tell you mine, okay? Because this one is crazy, and my son, was a witness. But I was living in an apartment, and it was just me and my son, and my one son, youngest son. And I had a dream that Hillary Clinton had a heart attack. And I was like talking to my son about it. It was just bizarre. I just said it in passing, like in breakfast or something. And then I wasn't thinking anything about it. And it was like 2 days later, we're like driving on the radio. It talked about Hillary Clinton going to the hospital for an issue with her heart and blah, blah, blah. I was like, what? Because I had a dream about her also when I was very, very young, that after I was in the military, I can't remember if it was after or before, actually, but we were being attacked, and I was running to the hills, because in the Bible it always told you leave everything behind and go run high. So I guess that's what I was thinking in the dream. And all of a sudden, all these like flying saucers are landing everywhere, and I'm thinking we're being invaded by aliens. But then they open up, and they're like humans in there, and I'm like, they're like cars essentially, the floating cars, and out pops Hillary Clinton's son, and he comes to save me. And I know she doesn't have a son. But then we go over, and he brings me over to her to go into the UFO like thing, and I look at her, and she turns into a huge monster, like a reptile. Face comes at me, and I scream, and I wake up. But
wow, that's crazy.
And the only thing that I know about Hillary, as I'm into the astrology, is we both have Pisces moons. And I thought that was pretty weird, and I just wondered if maybe, there's a connection there. So, anyway, that's my biggest woo-woo that I'll share right now.
Yeah. Well, with me, probably the most, I don't know, gosh, most paranormal thing that ever happened to me. Let's see. Well, I'm thinking.
So we got Mona, and Mona says, when Shane and I originally moved in together in our apartment, I pulled up one day shortly after we moved in, and it was daytime and light and sunny out.
Okay.
I'm sure there's more. I'm sure there's more coming. We'll get it.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I read it too soon. Sorry about that. I saw someone in our balcony wearing a denim shirt and jeans. I thought it was Shane. Whoa.
Which is,
and I guess, and I gathered
really creepy.
I gathered nobody was there. I also noticed that throughout my life, I've had a lot of synchronicities. The same when you just think about somebody and they call, or message you. We talk about having a lot of lucid dreams.
She said, but when I entered, I think Shane was asleep in his office.
Okay. Now, something that I want to add to that is this is really something, is that I was living alone, was single at the time, and I woke up and I was literally choking. I mean, like choking bad. I couldn't breathe in. I couldn't breathe out. I was purple because there was a mirror on the wall, and it was like I looked and I could see myself. My face was purple. I thought, oh man, I thought I'm gonna bite the dust, now. And my dog, my little Chihuahua, Sawyer, my right hand man, was like crying, and he never cries. So I think I was pretty close to buying the farm, And like I said, I could not breathe. I couldn't breathe in. I couldn't breathe out. And I thought, if I pass out, I'm dead. They're going to find me here dead. So with everything I could muster, I don't know how I did it, but it literally felt like my chest was going to explode. Like somebody had a basketball in my chest and blowing it up, just, pumping it. And so I just pulled everything I could and just coughed, and it like ripped my throat, like tore my throat up and everything, but at least I got to where I could breathe a little bit. And lo and behold, I survived. But 5 minutes later, this was like 5:30 in the morning, okay? My mother does not get up until 9:30. 5 minutes later, like 5:35 a.m. that morning, my mother called me. And I answered, and she said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Well, matter of fact, I'm not." I said, "I almost choked to death just now." I said, "Gosh," I said, "I was like really bad." I said, I was, damn near dead. And she said, "Oh my God." She said, "That is so strange." She said, "The reason I called you is because," she said, I was in bed, and she said, and there were 3 knocks on my bedroom window, and she said, "I heard you say 'Mom,' as only you can, a mother knows her son's voice and
Right.
how he addresses her." She said, "So I jumped up, went to the front door, opened it." She said, "Expecting to see your truck there," and it wasn't. She said, "I ran back in and called because I knew something was wrong." And so she said, "It was definitely you." She said that my stepdad heard it too, and Shane's here. Only I wasn't. So that has been described or defined as bilocation throughout history, where usually when a person or mystics or holy men or whatever, you can look it up, when they die, during their death or the process of dying, they have been known to bilocate, where people see them in 2 places at one time. And so I guess that's how close I was to death, because
Wow.
it wasn't like I was some phantom or something.
That's what scared me about I call them out of body, just so I can differentiate if they're lucid dreams or lucid dreams, whatever. But when I'm having the out of body, I was really, really scared that it was because my body was in that state, So it was hard to always just let it go, because I always think, oh, the cord, and if the cord snaps, or if I'm not breathing, if I'm out of my body, too long, those are always my fears. I might be holding my breath. Oh, Jacob has one. When I was 12, my grandpa passed away. The next summer, I was 13. I went to stay with my grandpa for a couple of months for my summer vacation. I grew up in the boonies and had 3 channels on TV. My grandma had cable, so I would stay up late watching HBO and Cinemax. And there will be part 2 coming. I read too soon again.
Well,
I have a story, creepy, he just made me think of, and it was after my grandma died. And you have to understand that where they lived, they had a huge flood. in Sunland, Tahunga, and it went through the graveyard, and all of the bodies washed out. And there were they found dead bodies in my grandpa and grandma's pool and had to get them out. It was like a huge thing. And, I mean, years later, but, my grandma had died, and I was out there and I was thinking about her, and I was, writing something, and I can't even explain it to this day. I just felt like there was a whoosh, and I just felt like totally hypnotized. And it was like I felt force. Something made me stand up. Something made me walk. And I was just like, can't explain it, trying to fight it. And it was cold. I don't remember what month it was, but the pool was cold. Everything was cold. It was at night. And I started walking and stepping in the pool. And I was like just going crazy. I was so terrified. And half of the pool, the deep end was covered in a lot of shade. So it was like black, which made it eerie. And I just kept walking, and I had this feeling like this voice, if it lets me get underwater, then I'm gone. I'm dead. So I just, with all my might, I screamed. And my grandpa happened to run out there, and as soon as he ran out there, then I was able to get control of myself, and he grabbed me, and what the heck are you doing, and pulled me out. And I didn't know what the heck happened, because I'm thinking, this is my grandma, thinking good. So I come and I take a journal out there, and I'm sitting on the porch because I didn't want to be too close to the pool, and I started writing in my journal. And all of a sudden I hear this whooshing sound again, and I was like, hell no. But it got louder, like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And I just got up and I opened the door and I slammed it shut, and it felt like the thing just hit the door, and I didn't go outside again, not even during the daylight after that. But it was a creepy experience.
Yes. Jacob says, I was lighting up a cigarette when I sensed movement from the corner of my eye. When I turned, my Gramps was standing there shaking his head. He had been gone for about 6 months. Wow. That's really something. That's something. And I didn't see, but Mona says, another instance, I get feelings sometimes. Always seems like coincidences, but one night I had this really bad feeling that something happened to someone I care about. Not sure who, parent, family, friend. I called a few people and they were all fine. Still that feeling lingered. A few hours later I got a call from a friend and said she had drove into a tree. She was fine, a bit bruised up though. Wow. That happens.
Yeah.
And
It happened in our family.
It's true that everything is connected. I mean, we're all connected. I mean, call it what you will, quantum entanglement to the nth degree. But yes, that's
We're in each other's video game.
makes you certainly, think about things. I mean, it's twins have a very unique connection, and so that's something to think about. But I think that we as
And then those twins have had a lot of studies done on them. You talk about that. I mean, and even the eerie coincidences with the twins from what was that? The Olsen girls with Heath Ledger dying, ODing at their house or their flat or whatever.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was he was they were heavily connected, and you think of MK Ultra and you think of all the studies they've done on twins, and they don't stop their studies, and now they have more cameras and more ways to watch us, and if anybody does do something, everybody has to watch the very first episode last season of Silicon Valley. The character did a speech about the powerful corporations, the things that we talk about. He gave a full-on speech that actually made me stand up and want to cheer. And I wanted to copy it one day and read it off as, it was amazing. They have to Google it or whatever. But that's a side note of our smorgasbord.
Well, one thing about me, and I'm sure that there's many others, is that there have been times when I've been at the grocery store or shopping or whatever, or just out in public, and there's just a certain way that someone looks at you, like really, really focused, and I don't know these people or whatever, but there's definitely like a connection there.
You feel something,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Even babies, just it's like they're looking at me saying, "Yes, I know you. You know me," like on a different level, and not literally, but it's like there's a lot more than just a little baby's mind behind those eyes. I mean, they're definitely making contact or whatever, and it's not creepy. Well, sometimes, but it's not with babies or anything like that I've had experiences. But a few times I've been shopping or been out in public and just had this feeling that someone was watching me or looking at me, monitoring me, and look up and there's like it's always been a man, and just staring at me, just like standing really creepy, just standing there.
Wow.
Maybe, I don't know, 20 yards away, just staring at me and not breaking eye contact. It's happened about 2 or 3 times, and
wow.
And I've
and is
stared.
this recently, or when was this, the time frame?
Oh, it's happened like 2 or 3 times in the last, I don't know, 20 years, and I don't know, I innately know that some kind of spiritual conflict or spiritual warfare. Like literally, I mean, this person doesn't have good intentions towards me, so
Right.
So I stare back, and until they break eye contact, and it's not like a macho, it's not like that, like a macho battle or whatever. It's spiritual, and it's very creepy, but I've always held my ground until they break eye contact. And it's really weird because when they know that you know that they're watching you, or what they're looking for is for someone that's going to back down, they're going to roll over, they're going to be a victim. They don't want to mess with someone that's going to, I don't know, stand their ground, but that's only happened, like I said, maybe 3 times. So, but 3 times is enough.
Yeah, that would weird me out. I know Jacob said he didn't sleep at all that night. I don't think I would have either. And also he said, we think we have a handle on reality. Our reality comes from what we can observe, taste, touch, etc. The scientists, physicists, quantum, or classical tell us that there are at least 10 dimensions. Since we can only observe things in the first, second, and third, what makes them think we really know anything about reality? Mm-hmm. There are some good points there. And it's weird to think about the dimensions and the third dimension, and to think that when you go into the fourth and fifth, that there could actually be like a huge hand up there. The only thing I can equate it with was Men in Black, when they had where you saw people little on the microscope and all these different sizes.
Jacob just now says, when we think we have a handle on reality.
Yeah, I just read that.
Our reality comes from what we can observe, taste, touch, etc. The scientists, physicists, quantum, or classical tell us that there are at least 10 dimensions. Since we can only observe things in the first, second, and third, what makes them think we really know anything about reality? Well, true, and thank you for that. But it's it's been said by several physicists and physicists, theoretical physicists, and great minds like Elon Musk. He said that the chance of us living in base reality, like the real world, is like 1 billion to 1. He's convinced that we're living in a simulation, just like I am.
Well, of course, if everything is made out of 99.9% empty space, come on. Or is it? Or is it something spiritual?
Well, I would say it's always spiritual. And sorry about that. I reread what Sue wrote, so made a mistake there. And
Hey, we were just thinking alike.
But Jacob says, I can't even remember the last time I haven't felt like I was being watched. I think that we're all watched to a certain degree. We are monitored. And it's not just Big Brother, in my opinion. It's, I'm not sure what it is, but...
No, and I mean, I'm hearing stories in divorces. Rich people are using it. They're using little micro cameras, spying, doing all sorts of things that you can possibly imagine. People are spying on other companies. I mean, people use other people in tech, the same as they always have. They just got more toys to mess up and hurt and damage more things.
Well, one thing too is it's pretty strange that in Genesis chapter 6 verse 6:4 it talks about the sons of God found the daughters of men fair and took of them wives, any of which they chose, and that's where the Nephilim comes from, from that account. But though that class of angels that were fallen angels, after they did that, were called watchers, and they literally watched mankind, but they were entrusted with protecting mankind to make sure that mankind didn't destroy itself or whatever. But they were fueled by lust and couldn't seem to control themselves, and
they're like kids that couldn't get their hands out of the cookie jar.
Right. Exactly.
Whenever you tell somebody to don't do something, it's a double-edged sword.
What they literally wanted was a legacy. They wanted children, and that word in Hebrew where it says they were mighty men of renown, that literally means they were men of a name. They wanted to leave a legacy, and they did. And this is going to shock a lot of people, but you can Google this and you can make up your own mind. But it says that most humans today have 4% genetically. 4% of human DNA is what they refer to as Nephilim DNA. They can't explain it. They don't really know what it is. But when this is something that I want to talk about too, and I find it amusing.
You mean Neanderthal?
No, Nephilim.
What?
Nephilim.
Okay.
That's exactly what it's called. Nephilim DNA. Look it up. I mean, it's but is when we've mapped the human genome, well, right. and it's complex and it's great. That's a huge accomplishment. But remember, that's only 3%. That's 3%, because the other 97% is what they call junk DNA. Why do they call it junk DNA?
Well,
because they don't understand it.
But they're starting to understand more and more now.
I Well, yes, I mean, knowledge is increasing, but wow, I mean, I'm talking 97%. They call it junk DNA, and it's like, well, if I don't understand something, I don't call it junk. I just, I just don't understand it yet. But I find it very telling that the universe, what we can see in the universe is 3%. The other 97% is dark matter. So as above, so below. There you go. I feel like I'm in a Dr. Seuss book.
As above, so mirrored below. Not as mirrored. Sorry.
What now?
As far as I know, it's not really as above, so below. It's as above, mirrored below.
Well, it would. Well, yeah. I mean,
like as above, mirrored below. You know what I mean? Like a mirror image.
Right.
Not exactly. It's not the same.
as in heaven, as on earth, like the Lord's Prayer. It's,
There's always going to be two on one side and one on the other.
and people say that, as in heaven, on earth,
It so shall be binded on earth. Peter, upon this rock I'll build my church, or whatever. Something like that, right?
Right.
It talks about what I bind, what you shall bind.
What you bind on earth will be bound
in heaven.
Bound in heaven. So Jacob says, I believe we are in the simulation. I believe that God created the simulation. He created the world by speaking it into existence. In truth, we and the earth are figments of God's imagination. Think about it. Unexplainable DNA, kind of like the Rh negative blood. Absolutely.
But get this. What we refer to as God, it's been said that what if God is a 14-year-old computer programmer from the future. When you think about it, hey, it could. I mean, theoretically, it could be possible, because look at the computing power and how it is growing and growing. Jacob says, I will not eat green eggs and ham. I will not eat them, Sam, I am. Yes, it's something else. I mean, it really is. And it's something new every day. It's just nonstop. And very, certainly not boring. I guarantee you that. Certainly
Definitely.
Not boring at all. So, but yeah, there's so much to that it's just like an open. It's just endless on all the things that you can think about.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, what I think of God instantly, I think there's probably different levels of God, so that the first initial God was like blew himself into a million different pieces so he can experience himself as a separate entity. And then everything, that's everything, God going out, they say the universe is expanding. And then one day, as it expands and expands, it gets all that information, and one day it's all going to snap right back. And then it's going to take all that information in, and it's going to go to that 14-year-old over there, and then it's going to start over again with that added information, and on and on and on and on.
Well, one thing too is that in Genesis, when it says,
"Hi, Nazarene,"
it says that, "Hey, Nazarene, glad you joined us." You says that God said there be light, and the light shine in the darkness, and this and that. Well, that word for light literally means data and information. So that's why that I lean towards the simulation theory. I mean, it's just it's I don't know. I've tried to get away from that, but it always leads back to that.
It has to be. To me, it just has to be. I mean, but assimilation is could be many different reasons. You know what I mean? We could be asleep because we're in a cryogenic chamber someplace, like in the movie Vanilla Sky, and we could be in a dream. So that's why we keep finding in all the roles, we have all these, gravity and...
That's right.
I don't know, a whole new world to keep ourselves busy in, like the Lord of the Rings world. It's just a world, right? You could take kind of any book and write a world that said, in the beginning was the Word. With one word somebody dies, with one word somebody gets elected, with one word somebody, is destitute or rich. So, the Word and that tree of knowledge.
And the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. There's that duality, that the light and the darkness, one cannot exist without the other. Or we would not perceive it if it existed without the other. So that's, I don't know.
I don't believe in that. I believe in there's a negative and positive, and they're charged. They're electricity. They come together, and frequency. They're not good or bad. But murder and taking a child and taking a knife and slitting it up, putting it up their vagina and cutting them in half and leaving them in a ditch is not something that needs to exist in any world. And that's the point. That no good people or heroes don't even realize that when you have a world like that, you stop everything. Everybody stops everything. And we change things. So we figure out how to get those people off of our planet.
Okay, what I was saying is that if there was only light, we would not perceive it as light because there's no contrast, there's no darkness. So
that's alchemy 101. That's good for practical purposes. That's not good for saying adultery or hurting from over here is good or bad or necessary.
I wasn't talking about good or bad.
Yeah.
Calm
down,
Lee Harvey. I mean,
Hey, I'm not upset. I'm excited. And I wasn't upset with you at all. I wasn't jumping on you at all.
No, I'm just saying that, man, I was just talking about the contrast, on the light and the darkness, and that is literally data, information, order into ignorance, and that's not stupidity, it's just a lack of knowledge. That darkness is literally means not knowing, chaos, disorder, and so because the
entropy,
because the sun and the stars, according to the Bible, were not created till the fourth day, I believe. So people say, well, the light shines in the darkness, and they see this visible light. Well, it's not that. And in the Jewish text, it talks about Moses when he went up on Mount Sinai, which is connected to the moon from the Egyptian god Sin.
Right?
And but it says that Moses looked down.
You know why the moon was called Sin, right? Because sin meant time. and the moon was a timekeeper, and also was a timekeeper for the woman's cycle.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Moses looked down on Mount Sinai, and he was walking on blue stones, blue sapphire. What was blue? Looked to be blue sapphire, which is what it's called in the Jewish text, and it was transparent. And these movies like Charlton Heston as Moses, when he brings down the Ten Commandments,
Right.
and they're these granite blocks with five on one and five on the other.
Right.
Even as a kid, I watched that and I'm like, okay, 40 days and 40 nights to write 10 commandments on stones like that? That's a lot of time for such a short amount of verbiage. Then I find out that later that it says that God, the creator, the source, whoever, whatever, gave Moses the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, in an unbroken chain of Hebrew letters. An unbroken chain of Hebrew letters. Something like 340,000 Hebrew letters. And keep in mind, unbroken. What is that? Sounds like computer code to me. And it was written on the blue sapphire stones that were transparent. They were hard as a diamond, but could be rolled up like a scroll. Now, keep that in mind, and then look at today's technology. Like last year, Samsung comes out with the computer screen, the template that can be rolled up, can be wrapped around a pole and watched or whatever, So that's amazing to me. I mean, it just,
Yeah, this is, I have to say, I'm so sorry. Jacob was right. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light and said it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. Okay, so yeah, the word is not first. I've not read where the word is yet. I wanted to make sure, since Jacob mentioned that.
It says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth was void.
I just read that.
Right. I was just rereading it.
Oh, okay.
So I could point out something.
It wasn't a, yeah.
No. I'm not that old. Youngster. Anyway, it says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth was void. In the Hebrew original, and when I say original, yeah, don't shoot me down, because there is no original actual text. The truth is that the Kabbalah actually means orally transmitted. Nothing was ever written down. It was transmitted word, and spoken, the spoken word.
But I think
so as far as people saying, well, the original text, come on. I mean, there is no original text, but it's all been translated. Okay? But it says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth became void. And people are going to say, well, that's just too far out. But remember, the Bible says God told Adam and Eve to replenish the earth, which makes sense if the earth became void to begin with. because you wouldn't tell them to replenish unless it had formerly been filled, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's in many traditions. I believe we're on our way into like our sixth mass extinction, right? Number 6.
That's what I have. That's what I have said. That's what I believe is that
Yeah.
this is the 6th cycle, and I've said that for about 15 years.
And I think that's why the 666 is so big.
well, one thing is it's very strange because I, said that and have said that for like 15 years. It's just a feeling. Just I don't know why I feel that, but it was amazing that I saw this, this show or something, this report that geologists had discovered and agreed that there had been 5 mass extinctions on the planet, and I'm like, wow. Okay,
yeah.
that would mean that we're in the 6th cycle.
Well, yeah, and you read the Vedas, and they talk about, the wars and the battles, and you talk about so many different, ancient writings talk about a time where people were lived in higher consciousness. They talk about Atlantis, they talk about Lemuria, So, yeah, it's quite likely, and this all could be happening. We could just see a creation of a video game. That would be crazy if we didn't really exist. But what does it mean to exist? Because they say we don't even see things the way that they really are. They used to tell us we saw things upside down and then flip them around. Now they say, yada yada, something different. But it's still kind of, they're chemicals.
Right.
The feeling of things being solid, our whole experience here.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, one thing is atoms are 99.9% empty.
Empty. Yeah. That's what I've been saying. That tells you right there. We have a dream for 8 hours, and I'll tell you, I don't know if other people, and I don't have very many dreams, and I think it has a lot to do with the Wi-Fi and stuff. But the dreams that I have had, I have felt just like, I'm talking to you, and sometimes even more real. I'm just standing there as a person, and I just jump and fly in the sky. I feel what it feels like. I feel pain. I've gotten shot. I've had all sorts of things happen, had sex, yada, yada. But I've had real feelings. And, I could say sometimes that feels more real. And it was always odd to me, too, that we only get to see from these 2 eyes, all our perspectives. I used to always think that something happened. We should be seeing more.
Well, one thing that is really shocking. I mean, it's to me it's amazing, is that we don't see with our eyes.
Right. It's all chemicals. It's all a reaction.
So it's sensory. It's but you're absolutely right. It is chemical reactions. So if that's so, then it's like in the Matrix where Morpheus says, where Neo says, ask Morpheus, is this real? And he says, what is real? He said, if you define real as by what you can see, taste, touch, hear, he says, then real is simply chemical reactions taking place in your body due to your brain, processing it, which leads me to, okay, what could that be? What does that sound like? A computer interface.
Right.
A computer interface to a what program?
Right. And they had something, again, on Silicon Valley that was crazy. They made these bots, and one of the guys was messing with the other guy, so he set up a bot of himself that would answer, bond. It was programmed just like he was. And so his friend was talking to him all day, laughing, thinking they were bonding, having the best conversation in the world. And he comes up to him and he's texting him, and all of a sudden he's seeing him get coffee and looking at him like, what the heck? Looking down, and then, comes and talks to him and knows he's been had and is all upset. But then he's like, I want one too. And so he ends up getting one for his family and his aunt. It was funny, but we're dealing with that. I mean, it's like what we think is real, and that the sci-fi and the holographic perspective, it's all kind of coming together. And I've been hearing more things like that they're into, like they say that nanotechnology is not going to be where it's really at. It's going to be like biology. It's going to be programming bacteria and viruses to do things and evolve things inside our bodies, which is pretty crazy too.
Absolutely. And whenever we say biological, it's to me, that's just a term for a form of, you just said it, nanotechnology. It's a machine that we say is alive, but define alive. What is alive?
It's the 0.1. It's the 0.1% of matter. To me, what I thought the 1% was, if it's a hologram, right? If it's a hologram, if it's being projected like a video game, it would come from a point, right? So it would be that 1 point of matter, that 1 point that just changes everything. Space, matter. And they say, what's the matter? I thought that was pretty funny. But that changes everything. And through just that, it's I don't know, it blows my mind. And I think that things are very much related to frequency. I mean, everything comes down to it. Numbers, letters are just numbers. They're just to signify. Their letters and numbers are no different. I think that they've devised some of these languages and passed down information just like they do in the Da Vinci and Mona Lisa here and there. And I think they put like clues everywhere. And, we have to go find them and put all the puzzle pieces together.
Right.
That's what makes it so fun for me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's like a treasure hunt, where...
Yeah.
Jacob says, I really remember my dreams anymore, but when I do, I pay attention. We see with our mind.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. We see with our mind. Now, one thing that just now came to me is that...
And what mind? What do we see with our mind? What mind? And why do they call it mind? Mind means if you mine something, what are you doing? You mine things from planets, right?
Well, mine, but sounds...
Mind.
But ask yourself this, why do we sleep? And if you say to recharge or to rest our bodies, wrong. Do you know that the human body only burns like 100 less calories than when you're awake? And the truth is doctors, scientists, they cannot give you a definite answer on why we sleep, why that we require sleep. And 1/3 of our lives, just a roundabout figure, 1/3 of our lives we spend sleeping. So, but
1/3 working.
But there's no explanation for why.
And then the other
we have to sleep.
Stress.
And so, could it be that we're here, but we're not here? When we're dreaming, we're there, but we're not there. We're in two different worlds, so to speak. But It's like quantum mechanics, quantum physics has they now say and have said for the last 5, maybe even 10 years that there are in fact endless parallel realities just like this one, and we're in all of them. So a dream within a dream within a dream. Watch the movie Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio. That
was a cool movie. But I still the whole I think the Adjustment Bureau really freaked me out, and there was another, Dark City, just because it went farther than the Matrix of realizing you're plugged in and your whole reality isn't what you thought of, which is essentially what it is. I mean, it's a parallel for us being locked down in a police state where we're being monitored at everything and locked, and everything we do on a card is being processed, logged, and computerized. And anyways, but I digress. But in the Dark City, it was actually you would have a family and a certain life, and you'd go to bed and they could program you, and the next day you'd have a new husband and new children, and you wouldn't even know, except you'd always feel like something's not right, you know, something's off. But that really freaked me out. As did the movie The Others. Did you ever watch that one?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. The fact that what if, and I've thought about this, what if this is our death? What if we're still in the dream and we're still dealing with the consequences? We're still dealing with our actions, and we're not all coming to terms, you know?
Right. Could be. I mean,
and we could be reliving things over and over. Like he talks about the daemon, you know, and some of it I can't remember where it's a theory that we relive things twice. And the second time, it's the life where you feel guided, and it helps you steer and not make the same mistakes you made in the first. But yeah, there's so many different theories out there. I mean, it's all, I mean, as crazy as you can make it. Literally, fiction or fact is stranger than fiction.
Yes, it is. It's absolutely.
Jacob said we sleep to interface with the great hard drive. We could get defragged, all that programmed.
That's right. Absolutely, and that's.
I forgot to tell you too. I told you, Shane, but that crazy thing that happened to me, I don't know, a year ago or less than a year ago. But I was just in bed, and all of a sudden, I just felt like, and I guess I was dreaming, but I opened my eyes and there was nothing but blue. It was like the whole light, my whole bedroom was just shining in like a blue light, and it was that was nothing. It was insane. It was nothing but blue light, but the blue light had a form of matter to it. There was something that I could feel, as it went inside me. It's something I could feel, and I got so terrified. And then, I don't know, I blacked out or was in the dream or woke up. But that was really odd. And it felt so real.
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely. It's like there have been people that Jay Widener talks about the cross of Henday, which we will do a show on that because it's very, very interesting to say the least. But
yeah, you were talking about that before.
But he says, he says, what is the message of the cross of Henday, which is a very old stone cross that has these very cryptic, symbols that have been carved into it, and It's in, I believe, it's in Switzerland near the border of France. This little town, very near where Nostradamus was born. Anyway, he says, and kind of like, tongue in cheek and a wink, he says, what if I suggested that you're not where you think you are? And when he said that, I immediately thought about the pods in the Matrix, where Neo and everybody else inside those pods, and they just thought they were living in the real world, with the machines providing their sensory. It's just like we said, they're
Right.
providing everything, so they would believe that they were living in the real world when they really were not. Cross of Henday, you can look it up. That's Hendaye, Henday, and it is amazing when you see how much has been encoded into that stone cross. It really is.
Oh, wow, yeah. We can even do a show on that one night.
Absolutely, we will. We sure will. And that's...
Oh, yeah, Jacob said, I love to read. I always have. If I'm into a book, I stop seeing the words, and it's like a movie in my brain. Yeah, for me, too. Until I started losing my vision, and then I got really into the Audible books. But, yeah. So I thank Kindle for that.
The books, it's like Jacob said, as far as movies are great, but books just rule. I mean, I love reading, absolutely.
Well, you'll go well.
But that's one thing is that there have been so many people that have had dreams or experiences when they're sleeping, and they wake up and they're not sure if it really happened or if they were dreaming, but what if they were one and the same? And when I'm talking about alien abductions and things like that, it's like, do they physically take the person, or do they take the person, and then you go back to the fact that atoms are 99.9% empty, so is it all, consciousness? Is it all in our mind? Not saying that it's not real, that it doesn't happen, but what are the dynamics? I mean, it's really something to think about.
Yeah, definitely. So there's many different thoughts out there, definitely. But just like we were talking before, the reality is coming, and people hopefully will start to look at the things that are happening, the technologies, and start maybe changing some laws here soon. Before we are nothing but George Orwell's Big Brother. I mean, we really are. If I was going to do that, like start reading that book and put it up on the podcast, because there's just a lot of similarities.
And it's
and
amazing
put it
how
in our face. It's right there.
It's amazing how movies now, and even back years ago, and books they're that we thought were, fiction. They're really more of a documentary, especially The Matrix. To me, I mean, that's just wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're showing us truth, but they're doing it under the guise of, well, it's just a movie. No, there's a bigger message being sent. So, Mona says, let me see. Jacob says, with a book, you really get into the characters' world, their thoughts and emotions way more than television. Mona says, I doubt it. The only change will be to make new restrictive laws against citizens.
Exactly. And they are. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yes. It's,
And you know how you said the boiling point for change, you were talking about it just takes that one person. Everything has frequency. So understanding has frequency. Forgiveness has frequency. Anger has frequency. I mean, we've seen it in cymatics. We've seen it with the water molecules, with the terrible squeaky, vibrations versus, the harmonic and I love you and pleasant sounds. So, and I guess frequency, anything that leads you into chaos, the more you get into chaos, the more entropic it is and the more it kills you. If we need to be in charge of controlling that frequency in our body. And I think if we kind of understood it for what it is and could understand the law of attraction, we would be able to go through the matrix and we would have eyes to see, and ears to hear. You start seeing things that other people don't. It's like when the invaders came, the Spanish conquistadors came over and took the Aztecs, and they would look off into the horizons as the ship were coming, and they had no former context. They had never seen anything like it before, so most of the people looked and they couldn't even see the ship. Some could, but others absolutely didn't see it because it made no logical sense and there was no box that they could fit it in, So literally, they didn't even see what was right in front of their face. And they show you that when they do, where they show people at a party or a seminar, and they have a bunch of people dancing on stage or something, and then they have a gorilla walk by and nobody notices the gorilla just walk by.
Right, exactly. Yes,
yeah, and we have all these weaknesses, and you know what I mean, all these ways that we could be manipulated that we're not taught. That if we were in any kind of good place, that there was any care for you, as Carlson would say, you would be taught this stuff. Okay? Your children would be taught all this stuff. They would understand the power of frequency. They'd be going through life. Junior high schoolers would be learning how to invest, and instead of taking all the parents' money and blowing it to, Madonna or stupid music people, they could actually make a difference, and they could have their retirement plan by the time they're out of high school.
That's right.
Americans, and I have to explain it to older guys, even in my job, in like warranties or insurances. You have to explain to people, and even older people, American men, that you have the earliest you buy it, the cheaper it is. They're like, oh, I'll wait till I get there and then I'll worry about it. Well, okay, well then you're paying, you know what I mean? You pay 5 times more than you would if you bought it then. But we're not educated. And it's on purpose. And all these missing blind spots, it's no different from them, going into the Congo and, with their watches and their little magic shows and sparking things and making, a firecracker and people thinking it's God. It's no different. We have no capacity to know what's going on with ourselves in our life, because we're not taught those things, and we have developmental stages that we go through that are crucial, that are completely twisted around, so we can't even think properly.
That's right. And that's just it, to disrupt your thinking.
And I want to know, it's like the Truman Show, you know what I mean? Instead of, hell, the satellite, it's knowledge, we got to fight to get out.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it wasn't like that, but, the whole, that book, Ayn Rand, and, Atlas Shrugged, and just people, if you ever watch the movie, anybody on Netflix, it's open for debate, and many people have issues with it on both sides, but there's good, but, there's just too many people out there that would literally just shoot somebody if somebody said shoot, if somebody in a authority tells them to shoot. We've been completely manipulated. We talked about before, they've actually done tests to see if people would, if somebody, it was a doctor, an authority, told people to continue to shock people every time they got an answer wrong. And time and time again, they proved that most of the people will continue to shock people even to deadly levels.
Right.
As long as somebody in a cult that is a supervisor tells them to do so. And it doesn't stop. I mean, they can make fun of them, say things, and it just happens over and over again. They got us. Mm-hmm. And he says it in that Simi Valley, they have us. So...
what you have to ask yourself is, wow, what is that? Is that them, or is it genetically, was it programmed into them?
Oh, yeah. Well, you can answer that by looking at life yourself. I mean, life in itself. I mean, school is a joke. All it is a social, who's cooler fest. That's all it is a bunch of people getting a bunch of clicks and judging people, and then them spending their whole life trying to feel like they're cool and they fit in. That's it. That's what people are thinking of. Not anything else. Not anything else. I mean, and I'm telling you, it's true, because I'm seeing teenage boys, and I don't care, even my own boys, it's 30 degrees outside, and they will think they look too fat and puffy, so they won't wear their jacket to school. They'll literally risk freezing to worry about what people think. And we really got to ask ourselves if we know anything about anything.
Well,
in the state that we're in, but I think we're on our way.
right.
I know I'm on my way. I'm learning. I've given up and gone from career to career, like an anthropologist going along, thinking it's going to be different here, and it's not.
We have a lot to learn. I know I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Always learning. It never gets boring. Anyway, well, we're it's 11:45, so.
Yeah, Jacob said they don't like independent thought at all. And
no, they don't.
The original free babysitter. Yep, it's been my babysitter for many years. I know. The only change will be to make new restrictive laws against citizens. Mona said, "Yeah."
Welcome to 1984.
Yep. And what are we going to do about it?
Right, absolutely. But I guess we'll wrap things up, and for tonight, Selen, do you have anything you want to add before we?
No, I thought a great show, and I love to hear people tell us what you want us to talk about and go into, and please like and subscribe, share, and forgive us when we make mistakes. We're learning too. And thank you for, being a part of this with us.
Absolutely. We appreciate each and every listener. And please, follow us on Spreaker And those of you on YouTube, please hit that like button, and let us know in the comments what topics you want to hear, that you want covered, or if you would like to be on the show and talk about your own personal experiences and things like that. We would definitely love that. So anyway,
for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna say good night and love and light to everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Love and light from Sin City.
And from Texas. So we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.